Would I be the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because his mom said I wasn't allowed to speak unless spoken to a year ago? Ooh, this is gonna be juicy. I'm sorry in advance, this is long. That's good. Like, let's get into it. This is gonna be juicy. My boyfriend, 32 male, and I, 27 female, have been friends for 5 plus years and close friends for 3 plus. A little over 2 years ago, we began hooking up, but both agreed we didn't want a relationship at the time. It didn't take long though for both of us to develop feelings, and we agreed it was best we went our separate ways. However, February 2003, he invited me out to lunch and confessed to me that had been a mistake. And when he pictured his futures, he always involved me. Yeah, right. When he pictured his futures, he always involved me. By the end of this conversation, we both admitted to having strong feelings for each other and wanted to give dating a shot. So from that point, things progressed fairly quickly as we already knew each other very deeply. Even when we were just friends, we would often read each other's minds. We soon began to talk plans on when we would get engaged, married, and have kids in the coming years. These feelings were also communicated very on to his parents. Remember that for later. Ooh. I feel like this is going somewhere. Let's keep going. Also, before I get into what his family said I've done, I want to preface with something. When I tell you this man is the most loving, caring, kind man I've ever met, I really, really mean it. I've been in bad relationships in the past and honestly had just given up on dating. If I was not with him, I do not think I would be planning a future with another person. He's met all my friends and family, and they have welcomed him with open arms. My friends adore how well he treats me, and he truly has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Any issues we have talked through calmly together and walked past. Okay, sounds like you guys are pretty good. It's just his mom that's the issue. Like, let's keep going. About 6 months into our relationship, I began to express more frequently that I wanted to meet his mom and dad. For context, they are still married, although it is very strained. And at the beginning of our relationship, he had moved in with them, less than 10 minutes down the road from my parents' house, and about 15 minutes down the road from my home. We had stopped by his parents' home several times where I was asked to wait in the car. And once we had to meet them at the gas station late one night for important medical reasons. And again, I was asked to wait in the car. That's weird. He always explained it as he needed our meetings to be under the right circumstances. Was he afraid to introduce it to his parents because like he knows his mom's really difficult, or like was he embarrassed to be like, I don't, let's get into it. Soon after that, I met his uncle and his uncle's family. It went so well, we made a 2.5 hour road trip drive to hang out with his uncle again once or twice in the following months. I remember my heart being so full seeing how kind and welcoming his uncle's family was. However, I had still not met his parents. When I finally met his mom, it was fine, but she did come across as very my way or the highway and got upset with a waiter that was calling out orders in the restaurant. As someone who grew up in a semi cultist church, I was really familiar with the holier than thou pastor's wife with a dash of current personnel. If you know, you know. Oh, I know. A few weeks later, I met his dad at a soccer game, but he left after about 10 minutes. No speaking to me much. I saw his mom once or twice after that, and she didn't make much of an effort to speak to me or get to know me. And her behavior towards me in small interactions became increasingly rude, such as walking away while I was in the middle of inviting her over for dinner. Oh, rude. Let's keep going. As my boyfriend had just moved in and had already expressed to his dad he wanted to have his parents over so we could cook for them. At the time, I thought maybe she didn't hear me. Oh, she heard you, bestie. Eventually, at his uncle's Christmas party, I began to really notice his mom doing passive aggressive behavior towards me and how intentional it seems. For example, she randomly began talking in front of me about how terrible public schools are and how she would never let her kids be educated by inept public school teachers from the South. Both my boyfriend and his brother went to an extremely expensive international private school K 12, while knowing that not only am I a product of certain public schools, but I'm also a certain public school teacher myself. Oh, yeah, that was on purpose. That was on purpose. She said other passive aggressive things like this throughout the night and would ignore me or respond in only one or two words when I tried to speak with her. Yeah, she don't like you. She hates you, babe. It is funny, but they just like she hates you. Let's keep going. When I told her about the pincetta I bought for her, she visibly rolled her eyes and seemed annoyed. She would also turn her back to me or come to stand in front of me with her back to me while I was in group conversation. Oh dear. I mentioned that night to my boyfriend when we were alone how uncomfortable her behavior made me feel. He tried to explain of it a lot as it's just the business of the night and said we would all be able to get to know each other a lot in Boston. You see, we planned for my birthday, which is on New Year's Eve, to go visit his brother in Boston. Last minute found out that his parents had an extra room in their house they had been loaned by a friend and they were going on almost the exact same days as us. My boyfriend had asked if we could stay with him, and his father said yes. So stupidly, I gaslit myself that everything had simply been a coincidence, and I was being too sensitive and was optimistic as I packed my suitcase. I mean, that's a reasonable thing to assume if you're being invited to come and stay with someone over the holidays. You know, I would assume that being invited into somebody's home to spend the holidays with them was a good sign. So you are not totally delusional on that. Let's keep going. Once we landed in Boston, I came down with a cold, and my boyfriend with medical issues became very ill. I was terrified he was going to end up in the ER. I was constantly running to the corner store to get medicine he asked for. Even walked him 2 miles to get him Italian wedding soup from Whole Food because I was trying to keep his sodium levels down. Hydration was a big concern to him out of the ER. Meanwhile, his mom went out of her way not to speak to me, made passive aggressive comments to other people that seemed directed at me, be overly nice to everyone else, and would walk in front of me and put her back to me anytime we were standing in a group, especially on my birthday when we are all at an escape room arcade. If I spoke to her, she would walk away in the middle of me talking or wave me off the way you shoo a dog. Ooh, that's that's crazy. How do people like get off on like treating others this way? Like it's very clear that she doesn't like you for some reason, thinks that her son is too good for you or whatever. But like at the end of the day, you don't need to treat people like shit if you feel that way. And you're also not really giving her much of a chance to prove herself. Let's keep going. When we returned home, I spoke to my boyfriend about her behavior and he said he noticed it too and was not sure why she was acting that way. The only explanation he could come up with was we were very different personality wise. He said he was going to speak to her about treating me with respect. However, when he tried to have this convo, she proceeded to talk poorly about me for 2.5 hours, and my boyfriend claimed he just froze and he didn't know what to do. He tried his best to defend me, but admitted he disassociated for a lot of the conversation. I don't like that he's not sticking up for you, honestly. Like, clearly he grew up with this, and maybe that's why he was hesitant about introducing you to her. But what are you supposed to do? Like, your mother run your life into adulthood? Like, the reason why she's like this is because nobody stands up to her. Let's keep going. She claimed I was controlling because I gave him NyQuil when he asked for it and she doesn't like NyQuil. That I spoke for him because I told her I was worried about his fever and cough. And then claimed I had tried to physically block her access to him while he was sick. This straight up never happened. So she's basically inventing reasons to dislike you. Either she thinks someone else is better for him or she wants him for herself. Let's keep going. After him and I having a very serious discussion about setting boundaries with his mom, he tried to speak with her again, and I explained I was trying to be helpful and I have good intentions. I don't understand why his mom wasn't taking good care of him. If she was gonna about how you take care of your boyfriend, then why is she not helping with that? Let's keep going. The conversation went much the same as before. My boyfriend asked if she would be willing to sit down and speak with me, as it seemed there was a lot of miscommunications going on. She responded she didn't feel like it was her place to have to talk to me because she thinks that you are like gonna be gone in like a month. At first, I told my boyfriend no because I didn't like she was going into it with the mindset that I needed to be quote put in my place. But my boyfriend insisted it was not the point of the convo. I could see how much it was hurting my boyfriend, and so I reluctantly agreed and reached out to her. With my boyfriend's help, I drafted and eventually sent a text apologizing if any of my behavior had been hurtful. Expressing my intention was to take care of him in a time of need, and expressing I wish he had given me the chance to explain these things at the time so we could clear up any misunderstanding. Ah, yes, but yeah, so she's not gonna like that. She's not gonna like it. If I'm understanding who she is correctly, I think any point in which you make her at fault, she will not take well. Let's keep going. I also say that although we do not have to be best friends, I hoped in the future we would both treat each other with respect because we both cared about my boyfriend. She responded with a day and time she wanted to sit down and chat at Starbucks. The day arrived and I walked into my boyfriend who said he would meet me there from work, already inside and standing with his parents waiting on me. Immediately, I had a sinking feeling. As you can imagine, the 3 hour conversation went terrible, but some highlights of my favorite things she said to me are unless she comes up to me and asks me to speak, she doesn't want to hear what I have to say. She should be allowed to do what she wants with her body. When I asked if she could please stop walking into the middle of groups while I'm talking with others and put her back to me so I'm excluded from the discussion. Wow. Just wow. She had in fact been kind to me because she allowed me to hug her when she entered her son's home. Contrast, I bought the home 100% independently before he and I ever started dating. But I guess since the man moved in, it's now his now. I'm just a silly little girl. Girl! She was also kind to me because she prayed an asthma attack away. It was definitely not the person who lent me their rescue inhaler and saved the day. Don't look at him, look at me. We are having a conversation. Because I turned to my boyfriend hoping he would chime in when I pointed out neither he nor I remember anything remotely close to me, physically blocking her from entering the door to our room. When she wanted to ask him what his symptoms were and what he took, moments after asking me these exact same questions and then walking away before I could answer and barging into our room. I was behind her at this point, so I'm not sure how she could have even perceived I tried blocking her. I was controlling because I was self-conscious. Amazing that someone who had never asked a single question about me knows so well. This is what I'm saying. Like, how is she so steadfast on her feelings towards you and who you are as a person, without actually knowing you, without having any contacts? Like, maybe if she had heard from her son that you had done something bad to him, but if he said nothing, why does she have these feelings towards you if she doesn't know you at all? Let's keep going. She knows everything about my boyfriend. She's known him longer than I have. I mean, yeah, she is his mom. And therefore, there's nothing I can tell her about him that she doesn't already know, and therefore, I should not speak about him to her or anyone else. Ooh, ooh. Like, at this point, it's kind of like I really don't like that your boyfriend is not saying anything in your defense. I genuinely don't see how you could continue a relationship with him while her also being in the picture. Like, let's keep going. There's nothing I can give him that she can't give him. Why is she making that argument? Does she want him for herself? Too much time has passed since the trip, and I shouldn't be bringing this up now. I mean, she also brought it up, repeatedly referring to me as my boyfriend's friend and a guest of the family. Uh, an icing on the cake. After berating me, gaslighting me, and interrupting me and belittling me for almost 3 hours, and me finally on the verge of tears, she jumps up, rushes into my personal space, and says, "See, this isn't about me. This is something going on with you. You are hurting, and that's what I'm worried about." I mean, I think that you are hurting because she's hurting you. Yeah, she fully gaslight you in that whole conversation. Gaslight you, play the victim, classic narcissist coded tactics. This is a thing about like setting boundaries. Things like I just found out more often than not that people don't respect them, and they not only not respect them, but they also somehow make it your fault. Like, what do you do when you set boundaries towards someone and they gaslight you and make it your fault? Because, like, the only thing that I found that works is cutting off that person. You can't question, why are they like me? Why has it gone this way? Like, all these other things. You can blame yourself, and most times you will, because them is stealing that guilt in you. Like, it does its job to the point where they never have to apologize for anything. Nothing is ever their fault. But more often than not, it's their behavior that's disrespectful. I just feel like, other than maybe getting something off your chest and maybe that would help you feel better, I don't see how continuing a relationship with someone like this is beneficial to you at all. Let's keep going. So with that point, I walked out. I drove home, sobbing to my best friend on the phone about what just happened, locked myself in the bedroom and cried myself to sleep. Needless to say, I was devastated because I was seriously doubting my relationship. I would be too. Honestly, like, I think in a situation like this with controlling mothers, you really have to have a partner that is willing to back you up. Let's keep going. It took me a while to get out of my thoughts, but after a few tense days, I sat down with my boyfriend and recounted to him every single horrible thing she said to me. I pressed him on why he didn't chime in when she lied about things that we both had previously agreed didn't happen, and when she was being condescending towards me. Kind of sound like a goat man. Like, let's keep going. He admitted that he felt the need to be a neutral party in the conversation. That is bullshit. I'm sorry. I hate that argument. Neutral party? By not taking a side, you are taking a side. Being a neutral party and letting someone you supposedly love and want to spend the rest of your life with be disrespected in front of your face, you are choosing a side, and it's the side of the bully. Let's keep going. I reminded him I walked into this conversation in good faith and it was to clear up miscommunication, and instead I felt like it was his family's versus me, having to defend my character while being interrupted, insulted, and gaslit. I point blank told him that I nearly broke up with him that night and every day since, but since my friend talked me down off that ledge, they acknowledged that we have something very special. Like, I understand he's a nice person, but he also sounds like a pushover. I hate that. I don't love that for you, bestie. Let's keep going. I also point blank told him I had three non-negotiable boundaries that I now need to set in place for my mental health. One, he needed to go to therapy, and his first appointment had to be within the next 3 weeks, or I would end the relationship. Two, he had 1 year to learn how to set boundaries with his family and stand up for me when I'm there. and when I'm not, or I would end the relationship. 3, I would not ever speak to his mom again unless she apologized for the way she treated me. And even then, I would not spend prolonged time with her or interact with her closely. I think that's totally fair. I think that she's the one that needs to stick up to you at this time. At this time, you need to protect your peace. Let's keep going. He has since attended therapy regularly, and when his therapy expressed that his mom has an emotional, incestuous relationship towards him. Here are the reasons. From a young age, she began to place the emotional responsibility of a partner on my boyfriend because his dad wasn't meeting them. And in therapy, he's began to recall a lot about his childhood he repressed, like the fact that she would often vent to him and expose him to very adult topics from a young age. She also asked him to make adult decisions for her, like how he felt about her divorcing her husband, his dad, or the financial burden of their very expensive schooling, asking him if he would be okay with being pulled out of his senior year to be transferred to public school. Additionally, his parents made passive-aggressive comments about race, such as his mom telling her disgust for POC being with white women. His dad saying he's glad his son chose the right kind of white to date. Ugh. When he began dating one of his exes who was European, his parents were also very cold, distant, and uninviting to his friends and girlfriends. Okay, so it wasn't just you. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so it's not about you, babe. So, like, this is the thing. This is the thing that I think everybody needs to understand. When you are dealing with a person like this, you are literally dealing with a person with so much self-hate that they project that self-hate on others. So it is not you, and I know it's hard to like step away or separate, like you may be questioning everything about yourself, thinking you're not good enough, all these other things. But just like maintain, it is not about you. It has everything to do with how that person feels about themselves. Let's keep going. They've also talked about a lot about the night my boyfriend let his mom berate me in Starbucks for 3 hours and how wildly inappropriate her behavior and him allowing it was. Okay, I'm really glad that his therapist is backing you up. I hope he takes it to heart. He clearly grew up with this person and is probably kind of afraid of her, honestly. Exactly what I would say, cause but still, like, if he doesn't learn how to like set healthy boundaries, and if he doesn't understand that this is a very toxic relationship, I don't know, doesn't seem like a war I would want to fight. Let's keep going. Since then, he's apologized on many occasions, saying more than once it's one of his biggest regrets of his life and the biggest mistake he's ever made in our relationship. He also tried repeatedly to set boundaries with his parents and talk to them about the inappropriate things they've said and continue to say. However, the conversations always fall apart, usually with them beginning to gaslight him, make excuses for their behavior, change the topic, and pretend they don't understand the very simple things he is asking them to do. He's visibly exasperated with the conversations, often dreading having to interact with his parents, and has begun seeing them less and less. This is painful for me to see because I don't want him to not have a relationship with them. But I also know I can't have a relationship with them without something changing. And my biggest concern is that if we have children, they will see this behavior and think it's okay. That part. Yeah, I mean, like, it genuinely sounds like it sucks to have, like, not force, but kind of like make him choose between you and them. That's what you're doing, right? You're making him choose you over his parents. I mean, you're not really, because they're also doing things that are very hurtful to him too. At the same time, I think that no one would want to put up with something like this. Like, anyone is gonna feel this way, and they're gonna be treated the exact same way by them. Because remember what I said, it's not about you, it's about how his parents behave and how they feel about themselves. I just think that it's not necessarily your fault. I think that you're the one person who's willing to stay with him regardless of all of these things. Let's keep going. It's one thing for them to traumatize me, but I've told my boyfriend I'm not okay with them traumatizing our children. I know all of this is making him feel torn, and often when we try to talk about it and how toxic some of their behavior is, he gets so wrapped in trying to defend their character I don't truly feel heard. Well, yeah, because here's the thing. He is also defending someone who, probably gave him a lot. Like, yes, they are pushy and controlling and kind of racist, but I'm guessing he doesn't only see the bad side. He's only started to see the bad side once he started to push back. Let's keep going. My friends think he's worked really hard to grow these last 10 months and has already made some big changes and wants to continue to do better. So I feel safe around his family. However, my therapist has pointed out that this might be a bigger issue further down the road and has asked me if he has changed enough for me to consider next steps. Originally, we plan on getting engaged next spring, but things have been a holding pattern for obvious reasons. Yeah, I guess you have to decide like if you love him enough and if you are willing to, be in these people's lives, at least partially for the rest of their life. Let's keep going. At first, I was feeling like he had because his uncle expressed wanting to sit down and have a conversation with us to help improve my relationship with his mom. And my boyfriend had called him and said boundaries that the strain had come from his mom's behavior. And I had already tried to mend that fence, but was treated poorly and it would not happen again. However, I found out this weekend that his uncle doesn't plan on his mom being there and instead just wants to share information about his mom to help us understand. Understand. I mean, you can hear him out and decide whether or not the reasons for her behavior are good enough. I don't know. It kind of just sounds like everybody panders to her. Everybody in her life is like, let's keep going. I straight told my boyfriend that I was strangulation and I wasn't sure I wanted to have the conversation anymore. He was devastated and said he felt like this was his last hope. And he and his uncle had already acknowledged his mom's behavior would probably never change. I also found out he talked to his dad again about his frustrations, yet did not clearly set the boundary that he needed to be respectful towards our relationship and towards me. I got quiet at this point, and after a while, he admitted he knew he had dropped the ball. But honestly, at this point, it all felt like too much. I told him I didn't really feel like rehashing the same conversation because there wasn't really anything left for us to say for the millionth time, and I was tired. Yeah. I mean, this kind of seems like it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. I understand you love your boyfriend, but like, I don't know. Again, like, I think that he's gonna have to deal with this regardless of who he dates or chooses to marry. Unless he marries someone that is like such a complete pushover and is fine with it, but like it doesn't really sound like this is something you want to put up with. Let's keep going. Since then, things have been really tense between us. I know I said I would give him a year, and maybe I'm not being fair, getting upset when it hasn't been a full year. And in fact, he has gone to therapy and has set boundaries with some of his family, the ones who care to listen at least. It is so much for someone to process and overcome in a year. He has just seen for the first time how toxic many of his family patterns are and is still navigating how to put a stop to it. Hasn't he technically met my ultimatums? So I should be grateful for the progress I do see. Are my expectations too high? Am I being an unreasonable a-hole? I don't think that your expectations are too high through all of this. I think that you were hoping that things would get better, or maybe there was like a little bit of like admission, or a little bit of like the mom and the dad, saying maybe I'm not gonna be such an a-hole, but they refuse to not be a-holes. Like they refuse to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this or be like this. Suck it up. Clearly, he's breaking some generational curses, okay? He is having to undo like an entire lifetime of BS. I do think it's gonna take him some time to be able to stand up to his parents. Like, it's easy for us to say because we're not involved, but like I think it might be worth seeing how the year goes, because like realistically you don't have to have a relationship with them. You don't. I just think he's still gonna have to deal with this regardless of who he dates, and this work that he needed to do anyway. It might be what, if you truly really love this guy, to see it through until when you promised, because he is trying. Like, I do see that he's trying, and it wasn't just like I'm gonna do it for a week and then not doing. Like, he is trying, and your friends seem to really like him. He just needs to come to terms with his father. Him and his parents have to be either low contact or no contact, and I don't think that that's him choosing between you and them. I think that that's gonna be like, he has to choose whether or not he's gonna be married to his parents for the rest of his life, because it's gonna happen regardless if it's you or another woman. I think that you are not the a-hole. You do whatever you feel like you need to do, okay? Like, you know the answer. You know the answer here. You sound like you are at the end of your rope. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to stick with him for a bit. I also wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to stick with him. Like, obviously, we don't understand everything that is happening. We don't understand everything that is happening. This is a Reddit post, so she has to do what's right for her. So you do whatever you feel comfy doing. First comment said, let's check the comments. Okay. All right, so the top slash relevant comments. Let's check the comments, because as for me, I'll tell you to do whatever you feel comfortable doing. First comment said, I'm grateful that my husband took the time to show me how toxic my father was and supported me in learning how to deal with that and change my response to my father. But in the end, the only solution was no contact with my father. I really do not regret that one bit, and my life has been better for it. Unless your boyfriend is willing and capable of going no contact with his mother, this will never end. And unless he's capable of not blaming you if he goes no contact, then you will never hear the end of it. OP response, thank you for sharing this. Do you mind sharing how long it took from him first talking with you about it to finally click it for you to go no contact? My boyfriend now recognizes her behavior is 100% unacceptable despite how normalized it has been for him. He also acknowledges he will have to go no contact if she doesn't change, but I'm not sure when he is going to decide if she isn't going to change, if that makes sense. He saw it immediately but waited for me to comment about how unfair it was about something and used that to open the convo. This was about 2 years in. We went low contact with periods of no contact or timeout. Then when he finally reduced me to tears over how he treated my mother, I cut contact. That was 12 years in. We were loath to go fully no contact for fear of his treatment of my mother. In hindsight, I should have fought for my mom to leave him and got no contact years earlier. Okay, so it does take some time. Like, it's hard. It's hard. There's part of you that's like still hangs on to the possibility of like you hope that things will get better. Mm-hmm. Petty.com said, I would say you would be an a-hole. Before making any decisions, I would lay out your feelings to your partner and tell him your concerns with the relationship. I would then make a decision based on how that conversation goes. You deserve to feel comfortable and safe. I'm sorry you're going through this. Your boyfriend is doing a lot to try to change things, and he's coming to the realization that something does have to change, and he is doing the work, okay, and he's doing most of the things he said he was going to. Give him at least until the year is up to really make a decision. Can he live with you and your future children having zero contact with his parents? If no, then break up. If yes, there may be a basis for conversation. I agree with this. I think that you need to make some adult decisions here. You gotta see how it goes. Just stick to your timeline. Keep your promise. Alright? Let's meet women of our world. Let's be people of our word. let's be women of our word. And then after a year, if things really haven't changed, he hasn't set boundaries, and you guys are still under the understanding that this person is gonna be in life, your parents are gonna be in your life, you're not gonna be no contact, that's when you pull the plug. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. See you guys in our next video.